Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our CMA in today's crazy world training. Woo, woo. All right, so let me ask you guys before we get started, how many of you currently use RPR for your CMA? Anybody?
I use RPR.
Luz, Colina. Anybody else? RPR?
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I do.
All right, so this is gonna be a fun class. I'm loving this. Okay. All right.
I have to ask questions, otherwise I won't know. So.
Stacy, you are allowed to ask every question, as is anybody else, but you have more right because Amcar recently joined with Stellar, and these are all tools given to, well, actually, I hate to say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. The National Association of Realtors is what pays for RPR, so you've had that for probably 3-4 years now.
Mhm.
But who brought it to you? That's the point. You know, we get these things, read later, right? Like nobody has time for that. That's what I find my job to be. I want to read now, although I really hit read later, and then I do read later now. But I want to bring the tools and resources to you guys because you guys are out there working. And so it's really important that you know what tools are good and how to use them. So if you didn't have anybody to take the time to teach you that, that's not your fault. That's how I look at it. Now, Cloud CMA, new tool to you. How many people are out there using Cloud CMA? Anybody? No Cloud CMAers. Oh my gosh, in this virtual world. Jen, you did? All right. In this virtual world, this is a good cup of coffee. I'm just going to say, guys.
All the time. Cloud CMA, that's what it's called?
Yes.
Like,
we're going to go look at it right now. So this is where I want everybody to be. I'm sharing my screen. Good morning, Miss Brian. All right. We got some. Here we go. Okay. I'm in the Zoom. That's not what I wanted. So let's do this. Oh, for Pete's sake, let me just make this big like this. Da-da-da-da. Okay, we don't need to be there. If you go into your Stellar dashboard, here we are. You've got the tools up here, guys, you know, are all free, right? So the ones I'm talking about are Cloud CMA, and the other tool they moved is down here for RPR. But instead, we're going to look by address first. So I want somebody to give me an address that we're going to do a CMA for. It's always better to do a new one. Anybody? So we're going to go into Matrix, we're going to go into Cloud CMA, and we're going to go into RPR. Now, you don't have to open them all yet. First, let's start a Matrix super quick. And somebody give me an address of a property. Actually, open RPR. Let's do it that way. Now, you can open RPR two ways. You can open it on the dashboard like we just did, Stace, or this is a really cool thing. Let's say you're in here. Let's just pull up a recent search real quick. It's an oxymoron, wasn't it? Okay. You've raised your hand, Elsie Benitez. Please talk.
I have the address 10301.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm going to get that.
Good morning.
Good morning, my love. All right, I just want you guys to see, oh my goodness, who am I in here? Carolyn Vanderzette, my dear friend. Actually, I could go into hers, but let's just see one of these. All right, let's say you're in any listing, right? And we want to see a quick CMA on something. We want to get an idea to put an offer in, right? And right from this thing, you can hit RPR right there. I just want you to know that. You can also hit Cloud CMA on the bottom right here. So you can access Cloud CMA and RPR either from the main screen or from an actual listing. Now, I love Cloud CMA for the buyer's tours because I could be an MLS. I'm just going to show you this super quick, even though we're doing a CMA one. Let's say I wanted to do this one, this one, this one, and this one. I can now hit Cloud CMA and it will open with those properties already linked. Love that. So if I'm going to use it for a buyer tour, I don't have to copy, paste, and add all these things. Eventually it will open, right? And if I said buyer tour, for example, this is how I've always used Cloud CMA, which I love it. Say create new buyer tour. I want you to see this. This is an awesome tool. If you are not using this, you can name the client. We're going to say training. Ooh, was that me or you? And I would say, where's my fetch listings? The listings are over here. See them? So it's already in there. I don't have to do anything other than select them in MLS and click Cloud CMA on the bottom of the page. Everybody with me?
So those are all the ones that they are considering buying.
Correct. So if I wanted to do a buy,
Okay.
if I was going to meet people and take them for a tour, right, and show them different properties that day,
Okay.
I could
You
put
just
it
click on them.
Exactly. I can hit customize report. And it will give me a really cool report, super quick, that you can print out and throw it into your beautiful buyer book that we give you. And that's for your people. And as you're walking through the homes, when they say whichever one they like better, you take the ones that they don't want, right? That's all part of the buyer tour. So you can pick your themes, you can pick your templates, you can have a title page if you want, you could add a resume. So there's all these cool things that you can add, a map, a listing, if you want the home buying process, if you don't, get rid of it. If you want any of these things, you could add them. If I say, okay, what does fee simple look like? I don't know why I'd add that. And you could load it in there, it's gonna be in there. I definitely would not want that, so I would take that right on out. You can leave client testimonials in there. And guys, don't miss tomorrow, 10 a.m. Testimonial tree. Woo, it's rolling out this week. Super exciting. You're gonna love it. So, class, I'm gonna be in Lake Nona tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, but you can join on Zoom too, whichever you want. Okay, and then we're gonna hit publish report, and we're gonna, Miss Elsie Benitez, you have your hand up. Yes, no, maybe.
Yes, but I have a seller. It's for sellers and a seller, the property is not active yet.
Yes, perfect. Well, we're gonna get that because we're doing CMA, but I just want you to see how awesome Cloud CMA is for buyer tours. And then
Okay.
boom, it creates this property tour for you, which you can email, you can share online, you can do all sorts of things. The CMA is just as easy. It just doesn't bring over the properties the same way, okay?
Does that do it when you're making appointments
Yes.
and they'll put it in order?
You can put them in order as to where you want to go. Right. Okay. So that's Cloud CMA. Now let's go back to Matrix. Let's go back to one of these listings. Let's go in here. And now let's say we hit RPR. So a quick little overview, then we're jumping into CMA. If you guys have questions, speak out.
What's the difference between CPR,
RPR, and
RPR, not CPR?
CPR is what you need when you can't breathe.
Right, which actually could very easily be mistaken for that, yeah.
So true, so true. Now, Realtors Property Resource is the best tool that I absolutely love. And when I teach new member orientation, it's probably something I go crazy on because it's given to us by the National Association of Realtors. That's part of our National Association of Realtors dues. Why am I bringing that up? Because you could do a CMA on the property here, or you could do a CMA on their property in California or New York. You can do a buyer tour. You could do a neighborhood report from anywhere in the United States. It is linked nationally to our national MLS. It also links to all property appraisers websites. It links to greatschools.net. It links to, I can't tell you, hundreds of sites that are providing that data for us. So RPR is a fabulous tool for data, okay? You can fax a report very quickly. Fax, what am I saying? Jesus, I can't even believe those words came out of my mouth. We don't even have fax machines. You can text a report immediately from your phone. So if I was with a seller and I wanted, with a buyer, I'm taking them a tour, for example, and I want to show them this, or if I'm with a seller and they wanted to see what their neighbors sold for, I could do a quick little report and text it right to them. And they have it on their phone. It's awesome. So you can email it. Obviously, you can show it online. So here, but I want you to see what happens is it opens into the page. The property summary, this is exactly what you get out of property appraisers, right? The description is exactly what's in the MLS. Property facts here, schools, if they know them. Notice they have ratings here, right? So the ratings are provided from a couple places. If it's a letter grade, if it's a number grade, they come from greatschools.net. Sometimes Orange County Great Schools will link in. So it depends on where you're looking. It has now a livable index. This is super cool and new. Those of you who have not played in the new RPR, I'm going to tell you, I didn't like a lot of the things about it, but I do like this. This livability index is pretty neat. And it's got information about obviously the rooms, the interior features, just like you'd normally get. Other listing details, notes, owner's facts. This only goes back a certain amount. Collapse card. So you'll see that we only see the last people who own it now, right? If you went into Realist, you could see from the beginning of time. So it's it's not quite as in depth. It depends on the research you're doing. Your legal description. So pretty much if you're putting together a listing, guys, where do you need to go? Right here, right? If you need any information, you can't find it. It's right here. Deed records, right? It tells you the page for the plat to go to. It is all right here. So this is what makes this a fabulous tool. So let's say I want to search. I hit home.
Did you say taxes show on there? Taxes?
Taxes show too.
Okay.
Yep. Now, this is an interesting thing. RPR used to have a residential and then you could switch to commercial. Somehow they've integrated this. So if you put in an address that's commercial, it'll pull up it on the commercial side. If you put in an address that's residential, it'll pull it up on the residential side. It's pretty interesting. So it'll give you different data based on the type of listing that or home that it is or property that it is. Okay, so right here, see residential, commercial. But if I don't have this switched, it will switch it automatically when it pulls it up. Pretty cool, right? You guys see that? So we're gonna look at a residential. Elsie, what is the address?
10301 Savannah Ridge Lane, Winter Garden.
Am I spelling Savannah right? Savannah,
You're
sorry?
missing an N.
what?
It
You're
was,
missing
it
an
was
N.
previous.
Oh, there's two N's?
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
clearly I've never lived in Savannah. Okay, there you go. Then you want to wait till it populates and then you can select it. Now, this home is not on the market, Elsie, or is it on the market?
No, not yet.
Perfect. So
This one.
notice we get a lot of information already about this property that's not even on the market yet. What was that? You guys in RPR? You're having trouble getting in? Okay. Everybody in RPR? Sweet. Except for Maria, who's looking at my RPR. All right. So you can see here, this is something I want you to see. This is very good, especially now, for a quick summation of where they're getting their RVM, right? That's their refined value. They have this a value like a Zestimate, if you will, that they're giving us. And we want to see where they're coming up with this value, right? So we can look at this right here to see this AVM. Where does this come from? We can pull up refined value and it'll tell us what properties they're using. We can refine the value for the AVM and change it right there. I don't recommend doing that because honestly, we want to do a CMA first, right? But if you needed to do something quick because you go and you see, oh my gosh, you're on the lake and they didn't notice that, you can make that adjustment. But notice here, they tell you a confidence rating. So their confidence rating is really bad. Okay, and that's probably because they're probably using properties that are not on the market right now. So we're going to go ahead and hit create CMA. You see it right here. And there's two kinds of CMAs. You guys see this? You have comparative analysis. That's what we're going to do. And then you have sales comparison analysis. Actual appraisers come in here and use RPR. That is what they do. That's where they get up and they can put in all the credits, add for the pool, subtract for the garage, you know, that is exactly what this is. Unless you are really knowledgeable like an appraiser, don't do it. For yourself if you want to do it, but don't show a customer because you say it, you own it. So if you said, well, your extra bathroom is worth 5,000 and the appraiser doesn't give 5,000, they're gonna come back to you and say, well, you told me it would be worth an extra 5,000. You see what I'm saying? So you don't want to go there. But if you're trying to really figure out and get an idea, you could use it. Everybody good with that? But in 9 out of 10 times, you're going to keep just the comparative. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and say, let's confirm the facts and see if they have the right property information. Oftentimes they don't, guys, because if people, for example, I've seen it was a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom home. They had it registered with the property appraisers as 3 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms. They never changed that. Why? Because it keeps your taxes lower, right? They didn't care. So here we need to make that adjustment for the value purposes. And in the MLS, we need to make a reference that we're not getting the numbers out of property appraisers, right? There's an option that tells us where you're getting this information from. Doesn't mean we got to make them go to property appraisers and change it, but we need to be aware. And you need to ask them, oh, were you aware that property appraisers are showing that you only have a 3-bedroom and a 5-bedroom? Right? I would tell you 9 out of 10 times they'll be like, oh yeah, we noticed that. They want to change it. All right, so Elsie, is this correct? 6 bathrooms, 6 bedrooms?
Yes.
28 square footage, a lot, almost 3 acres.
Mm-hmm.
Garage, 3-car, pool, yes, built in 2016. Shingle roof, 4-stair. See, if you needed to change something, this is where you could change it. So let's just for fun, if we were to say that this isn't a 6-bedroom, we make it a 7-bedroom, it's going to actually change the value just automatically.
Oh, nice.
But we're not going to do that because it's a lie. So
What
you
if-
wanna- what was that?
What about if you change the roof from a shingle roof to a metal roof? Because I'm seeing that a lot right now in Ocala.
You could. I don't know how much differential they'll give you in that. And
Okay.
that's something we'd have to play with. Where are they getting the determination values of how much a metal roof is? I can tell you a metal roof costs more than a tile roof, right? It's the most
Mhm.
expensive roof, but will they account for that? I don't know. So I haven't
Okay.
played with that one, but you could definitely change it right there. Then you hit confirm facts and close. And now you want to find your comps, right? So you don't have to go to MLS and search for comps. You search for them right here because this is linked to MLS, right? It's linked to actually all MLSs. So I'm going to suggest first run through, don't even do active or pending. I just want to see closed. Now, if you can't get anything, sometimes we got to get a little creative, right? But let's be honest. Active, what does it tell us? It tells us what people are trying to sell for. Pending, what does it tell us? Nothing. We have no idea what price it pended at, right? So realistically, the only number that truly helps us give a real value that the appraiser might come up to is a closed home. Yeah, but if we find that there's something pending, does it mean that we can't reach out to the listing agent and say, hey, just had a question, did your home pend at or above asking? You could ask
Mhm.
that. They could tell you that, right? You don't have to say what was the price that it pended at. I'm sure they're gonna say, well, I don't know. I didn't ask my sellers if I could share that information. But because of our crazy world today, if you said, did you happen to pend at or above asking? I don't think you'd have a problem. Oh, no, it was above. Fabulous, thank you, right? That's a good thing to know. All right, so then again, we need to keep our comps within 6 months. I'm gonna tell you that there's a lot of things that the appraiser would have to adjust to, right? They like to stay 1 mile. They like to say 6 months. They like to stay in the same neighborhood. They like to stay, if you're a single story, they want to stay in a single story because a single story actually costs more to build than a 2-story, right? They like to stay within usually a 200 to 300 square feet on either side. I would say that's a rough estimate. They really try to keep it as like kind as they can, but sometimes they can't, right? So we have to understand when they go outside of those parameters, they have to adjust for that. The one thing, especially today more than ever, that they really don't want to adjust for is timing, because the market is doing crazy things now compared to what it was doing 6 months ago, right? So imagine trying to get an accurate timing adjustment. It'd be very, very difficult. So we don't want the appraiser to do that either. Now, does it mean every appraiser is good? No, we had an appraiser who wouldn't use a Morrison home comp, Taylor Morrison, for a Pulte comp because they said Taylor Morrison's custom. No, it's not. They built a nice home. They built a nicer home than Pulte, but that's still not a custom. So this is the problem, and they wouldn't adjust it. So for your knowledge, the more accurate and more understanding you could get on what an appraiser is looking for, it'll be better for you to create your report that you're going to give to the appraiser to help build value. Does it make sense? It doesn't, too bad. Okay, so we have a 7-bedroom, so I'm going to say 6 and up. We have a 7-bathroom. Elsie, was that correct? I can go up here and look.
6.
Oh, okay. Oh, 6 bedrooms, so we have to leave it at 5. All right, sorry. Because we want to see, I don't know, in this price point. So our square footage was 7,000, 74.28. I would not go down to 5,000. There's a big difference in the price per square foot of a $5,000 home and a $7,400 home, at 7,400 square foot home. And let me tell you, the difference is the price per square foot is less. The bigger the home, the lower the price per square foot. The smaller the home, the higher the price per square foot. So if your home that you're looking for is 3,000 square feet and you use one that's 12 to 1,500 square feet, that is not an accurate comp at all, because the price per square foot is going to be so much higher on that smaller home than it will on over 3,000 square feet. Is everybody kind of following me on that one? So I'm going to say, I'll open it up a little bit. I'll say 7,000. So I'm going about 500 on each side, right? So I'll say the 8,000. I'm going to tell you, I'm only opening it up because I know this home with Elsie, and I know there's a lot of, it's really hard to find a comp here. But in reality, I would have rather just stay probably 7,200 to 7,600, but the chances of us finding any comps in this price point are probably pretty bad. So you could look by lot, total price if you want, whatever you could do. Year, this year, it was built in 2016. I'll leave it at 2010. That's fine. Now I'm going to say search. Let's see if we get anything. Nothing. Thank you, Elsie. This is why this particular property is very hard to comp, because there's nothing at all. Now, what would we do? Well, first thing we could do is we could go and modify our search, and we can say, okay, is there anything active or pending? And then we're gonna say search and nothing. Guys, nothing still. So I don't wanna, I would rather not go distance and I would rather not go time. So I might open up maybe my square footage like they did. I might say 5,000 and know that I have to adjust for that, right? And go to 9,000. Probably nothing here either. Search. Nothing. So for the sake of this class, Elsie, we're not gonna work on yours because it's not everybody's gonna have a home that is so difficult. Yes, you have one,
Okay.
Stacy?
I have one, yes. Okay, I bid on it. They interviewed 4 realtors. She still hasn't chosen who she wants to go with. And she told me my number came in the lowest, but I don't think it'll ever get appraised for what she's wanting. So I'm curious what this says.
Okay, give me a price, give me your street address.
Okay, 2531 Southeast 40th Street. Not a typical listing, but it's an acre and a half and it's in my neighborhood, kind of,
Okay, so
40th
let's-
Street. Mhm.
so the AVM is 455. Out of curiosity, what did you come in at?
I said 459 under.
Okay, so you weren't actually far from that.
My range was, I think I put a $10,000 difference, 445 to 459, somewhere in that range is what I said.
Okay, so that's-
So someone, and I just had a property come back that didn't appraise. So I think people are just throwing things
So-
out there just to,
the interesting thing in the AVM, they're using closed for sale. So these are closed homes and one off market. So they do have a lot of homes. They're all within the close proximity. They didn't spend much time on the market. As we can see, the longest one was 47 days. They've all been within 6 months. So this is probably a pretty good, and what we're gonna look at more is your price per square foot, right? Because it can't be the price. The price is irrelevant, really. If you've got different size homes, different amount of acreage, it's really more based on the price per square foot. So what was
is
the?
it,
year was
so
85?
that one went under contract. That one, this has just happened, the 5/5, the first one, the off the market, public record, 5/5/2021.
This one you're talking
Estimated
about?
date,
Oh, the bottom one?
the first one. It says estimated date, 5/5,
Oh, right here.
off the market, public record. What does that mean? What does that mean?
That means that they probably did a data sold entry only. Probably never
And
went on.
it's sold, and it's sold for, and that one's right up, almost right across the street.
So, but look at the price per square foot. It's a pretty big range they're giving us. We go down as low as 115 to as high as 223. I'm gonna tell you, typically you can throw out the top and the bottom, but you'd have to go in here and look at them. But we would create our own CMA. Just, we want to get an idea of where they're coming from to see why they feel so confident in that RVM. And maybe they are pretty confident. So let's verify the facts. Let's create a little CMA in here. Okay, so confirm the facts of the property. Let's make sure they're accurate. So it's a 3-2, Stacy?
No, it's a 4/3.
Ah, so this is fun. We're gonna get to change those and see what happens. to
She
the-
added she added onto the house
Okay, living
and put a
area.
steel roof.
So did the living area change or is it still 3,800? Did she add onto it or did she change space?
She added on to it.
Did it get permitted?
No.
That's another problem, right? If you add on and you don't have it permitted, can you really sell it for the higher price if it is not permitted? You have to disclose in the MLS that this extra work that you added was not
Mhm.
permitted. If you just change space inside, you're fine. If you're adding on, a lot of times there's a lot of things that need permits that people don't realize. And if it's not permitted, it's gonna be real hard to sell. We had a home with an outdoor kitchen that was not permitted. We could not sell that thing. It was so difficult because it was not done to the county specifications. So the guy had to remove it. Yeah. And
But
it,
according to her tax records, that is right. That's the 3,800, that
well, it
according to her
could be,
tax
right?
records,
Because
that's it.
remember, if she did work and didn't permit it, her taxes won't go up. Right? Because they don't know she did anything. So
But it's interesting because yeah, it's a 4-bedroom now, but that she's still taxed. Okay.
she could have
Volume.
changed her space inside. It's
Mhm.
really a question, did she make the home larger? Did she expand it? Did she change the roof line? Did she, like, these are things that all need to be permitted, right? Like if you change a garage into a bedroom, oh, good luck getting that permitted. Because of the gas and fumes, they're not gonna wanna make that part of the AC of the house, right? So there's a lot of things that people do unpermitted that you don't, it's really hard to sell it that way. So this one's gonna be a little bit difficult too, because we don't know if that's accurate, but let's pretend for the moment that she changed
Yeah,
the space inside. Is the acreage correct?
yeah.
Okay. It has a garage, it has 6-car garage.
Yeah, well, yes.
She has a pool. She built it in 91. She has a metal roof. It says it right there.
hmm
Okay, so we're gonna confirm.
That's why I asked about the metal roof. How does that change? Because I knew she added that. So I'm
So maybe
curious,
she
like what?
did permit her work, because if she
Mhm.
changed the roof, she would have had to have that permitted.
Yeah.
Okay, otherwise she's not selling this thing at all. So let's just
Mm-mm.
look at closed, right? Within the last 6 months, she's now a 4-bedroom
hmm
and a 3-bathroom, right? And her square
Yeah.
footage is, we think, 3,800. So I wouldn't go.
Let's just keep it at that. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't, we can look at that, but I'm gonna tell you.
No. Go with what? So why did, so why did the other one say 38? This one doesn't?
No, this is for our
Because it
comps.
doesn't merge?
This is for our comps. This is what.
Oh, I follow you.
Oh.
Okay, I follow
So
you.
if
Okay,
it's
okay.
3,800, let's say we'll go down to 3,500, and let's say we go to 41. We'll add 300 on either side.
Got it. Okay.
Oh, wait, her home, oh, I didn't do it by that. Okay. So we
But
still
you want
have,
to keep, okay.
we're gonna have to open it because look, no comps. This is the problem in areas like Ocala and areas where we have no comps.
It's very it's extremely residential through there though. It's a big house, I guess. That's why. I
Here's
don't
the
understand.
problem. Yeah, this is the issue. So it's the square footage. So you've got a lot of homes in the 3,000s, but you don't have many homes or none here, closer to 4,000. So we're gonna have to keep that in mind when we're considering price per square foot. Right?
Part of it's updated and the other part is not. It's still from the 80s. So it's hard.
So if we were to look, guys, at each home, you'd want to look and see, how does this home compare to the other
Mhm.
home? Right? So you're gonna peek through the photos when they load here, because you want to get an idea, is this a comparable property?
Close at 730,000? No.
Don't look at the price. We're looking at price per square foot. We want to see what makes this, is this a comparable property? Only you know, because you've seen the house. Does this look
No.
comparable? No. Okay, so easy. We don't include that one. Now they used it, so that threw off our AVM in my opinion. Okay, let's look at this one. Let's see, does this compare? Again, the square footage is less, we know. Don't look, so this is an older home and it looks like an older home,
But so does hers from the outside.
which is good. That's what I'm saying. So we want to see if this is a
Mhm.
comparable home. That's what we're looking at. Does she have a pool? Yes, right? Is her kitchen sort of upgraded, kind of like this?
Yeah.
Okay,
She has 2 kitchens, a really, really nice outdoor kitchen. Yeah, it's like this. It's like, okay, Rosewoods would be a good comp
this
because,
is a good comp. Okay,
and I actually put that in my comps.
so we're
Mhm.
gonna actually include Rosewood. So that's the second one. We're gonna add that one. And let's look at this guy. Let's hope this is a good comp, because I'd like to have 3 comps, honestly.
Mhm.
Okay, so this one looks pretty similar on the outside, older, right?
Yeah. Why did it
Well-
close at 525.9?
Don't worry about the pricing first, because it could be other
Okay.
factors. We're gonna look at that, but first we're just trying to see, is it comparable? That's some crazy stone. They got a lot of river stone.
Yep.
Maybe.
I'd compare it to that.
Okay.
Yep.
So
They
we're-
even got mirrors. Wow.
Okay, we're gonna add that in, and let's see the last guy. All right. Take a quick peek here. And would you say this home, see, the first one didn't look like any of these. These all kind of look the same, don't they? They all kind of have that reminiscent of yesteryear look outside.
Yep.
Okay. Pool again,
Yep.
pretty comparable. A lot of pictures of the pool for Pete's sake. We haven't seen anything inside. 73 photos and not one inside. Like, can we get inside the house?
Why do people put so many photos of horribleness?
Okay, so here you go. This has been at least upgraded flooring. So we need to keep this in mind when we're really comparing prices. But if it's just upgraded flooring, who can tell? Because there's like 50 pictures of the same thing, right? Terrible.
Taken with their iPhone.
Yeah, it's terrible. Terrible.
Ew.
Okay, so they upgraded their kitchen. Interesting. Okay. So this is more upgraded, but I think it would count. Would you not agree? So we're
I
gonna,
think so, yeah. Even though she's got 2 kitchens, but yeah.
well, this could too. We couldn't get through the 2073 pictures because this is only an hour class.
Yeah.
So,
I'd say yep.
so we're
take
gonna
it,
add
yep.
that to comps. Now, we're gonna say update evaluation. And
I
then
think the
it's
big
gonna
thing is the
reflect-
acreage. Is
A
the
range.
acreage.
Well, we're gonna look at this, but look at the range. It's given us 449 to 571. They're coming in with a price of 502.
I was
Based
off.
upon the
maybe.
acreage. Yeah, we don't know this is correct, though. We're gonna go ahead and create a report. Now, while this report is gonna be created, first, we're gonna choose what we want from this report. Hello. Where is that? Click on the plus. All right, you could put your own, upload your own custom pages. Your marketing plan could go in here. You could put whatever you want in there, notables and quotables. But what I want in a CMA is very simple. I want the subject property summary, the values, the listing price, estimated value change, comp analysis, result, comp analysis range. That's what we just looked at. I want that. I don't want the home facts, extended home facts, definitely no refined value. I want some property photos, but nothing historical, no history. Dear God, don't freak them out and put out the mortgage information, right? That people don't like that stuff.
Mhm.
Market activity, all this stuff, honestly, you don't need any of that. This is most important, just your comps. You don't want it to start printing all of the market data that's happening around you. It doesn't mean it compares to it at all. So make sure to adjust your comps. And I like the recommended pricing strategy. That's the only thing I like in my RPR report. Once you put this in here, it'll save that. And so each time, if you wanted to change it, you could, but it's gonna have that. Then you're gonna customize your report. So I'm gonna call it Stacy Training. And you can include the name in the report if you'd like to. I will for this purpose. And I could just email it, or I could say display now. And if you email it, I want to make sure I'm CCing it to myself, right? Because I want to see how that looks. But honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, don't ever email a report you didn't look at.
Mhm.
Don't do it. Okay, so we're going to run that report. Now, while that report is running, we're going to get a cute little ding dong when it's ready. We're going to go into Matrix, because this is the reality. You can see in RPR, you can get some really nice reports to bring, but we got to break this down to the nitty gritty, because today the market is moving too quickly and we need to honestly get an idea of what this appraisal is going to look like, right? So we're going to do residential search, and we're going to do a basic search here. We only want to look at sold. We can look at active and pending in here too, real quick. All right. And what's the zip, Stace?
I think it's 34471.
Let's just double check it. 34480. Good thing we,
Oh, okay.
let's do this. Let's just take the address. Let's say we want it within 1 mile of this property. Like that. Okay, so now we're getting a mile within. We have 77 matches. Okay, let's take out active and pending. All right, 56. Now, how many bedrooms was this again? 4?
4,
Okay, so that drops us down to 21. How many bathrooms? 3?
3.
So now we're down to 8. So I could go to square footage, but I really want to see what we've got. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. in
It's
this.
the acreage that makes it so. If you
Right.
if
We're
you
gonna
narrow
look
that
at
down,
too. But hold on.
it's an acre and a half. It's a big lot.
What I want to look at is see the variety here. Okay, so let's go back to criteria. And let's add the acreage. Total acreage.
1.53.
So 1 to 2 brings it down to 1 lot. So
Yeah.
we're gonna have to do 3 of them. and it gives us 4.
How far is your range? How far did you do?
1 mile. 1
Okay.
mile. So I'm gonna say this, the acreage, again, there's a couple ways we could look at it. We could break it down if we could see some vacant lots and get an idea of what the cost per acre is in that area. And then look at the homes, compare the homes, and then adjust for acreage that way, right? Better if we can get a better idea of what the acreage is looking like. But here you go. Let's just do stats tab. You know what? Let's go back to, and let's see what's active and pending in this kind of search. Do we have more things in the market? Yep, we got a couple things. So now we're gonna hit our results and we're gonna go to stats tabular because this is my favorite part. We really need to see in the sold, the average sold price per square foot is 1.7, 107. The highest is 123. So if we look at this, and remember, this was square footage, 1/2 up to 4. If we look at that, the highest price per square foot of 123, this home is, what is it, 38, what was this acreage?
30. Oh,
Was it the, no, the square footage, thank you, 3808.
Mhm.
Oh, our report's done. Okay, 3808. That comes to 468. So in my estimation, based upon the data, then the appraiser is gonna get, you're gonna be hard pressed to appraise it for higher than 468. Right? But we wanna look at it a little deeper to make sure. So let's go.
So you went in here, just so I understand this, so you went into this part because you're looking at it, the
From an appraisal.
highest possible square footage within sold within the last 6 months,
I wanna see the range. I
within a
see
mile.
the average is 107. And if I do that times 3808, that's 407. So that's not, to me, close from what we've been finding. So I need to go back. Now notice, the one that's active is ridiculously overpriced, if you ask me.
Yes.
So I would never want to use that in there. I wouldn't even throw it into my comp. So I want to see, if we see this listed price per square foot, let's quickly see the acres is only 1/2 acre. So 117 was only 1/2 acre. We go to the next one, we see that this one was 1 acre and this price per
That
square.
one sold for 94. That's in the same development.
Yeah, but it's only 1 acre and she's how many acres? 1.5.
Yeah, and it's really nice inside.
So this is.
That was the comp I used, saying it's gonna be hard since it was in December, it closed with that nice, that big and that neighborhood to get
True.
that much
Right,
more.
that's gonna kill your appraisal. This is your 123 and your 123 is 2.5 acres, which is an acre off, but depending on the
But
how.
it's in that area. I think it would still.
And
I
look,
think
it's
still a
not
good comp.
upgraded at all. So this is where you go through and you say, okay, you've got wood flooring, or you've got, this is really needs a lot of work. So
So that
yeah,
would make sense if they put 100,000 into it. You'd be at 449, which
That's
is
my
probably
point.
where
So-
she's at.
I mean, dear God, that paneling, I'm scared. Okay. Did you see that? We have a green garage floor, guys. I mean, seriously. So the point is 123 price per square foot. I would feel comfortable saying it probably could appraise for that. Because even though you're losing an acre, you're having a completely upgraded home. Now, unless there's a barn on this property, again, this is a
No,
or something to that. This thing looked like a barn. What the heck is that? I don't even know what that is.
the lanai. What is that?
Okay.
Lori.
Floor,
So I know how you got the 107, the 3808. How did you get, so that came to 407. How did you get to 469? What,
I
with the
took
land?
this sold price per square foot, which was the highest,
okay.
123. And even though it's an acre more,
Mhm.
this thing does
It
not.
needs a
compare at
whole lot.
all. Yeah, so I would feel comfortable probably saying we probably could get that pass, right? So I would go ahead and go in here and say, if like I just did, 123, 43 times 3808, which is her square footage, right? That comes to actually 470,021.
Okay.
Added the change.
So
So
you
I would
look at,
say,
like the average sold, and then you kind of look for something comparable and maybe like a little bit
I
outdated
want to see
size wise.
what I'm really looking for, Jen, is what has closed that has pushed the appraisal price per square foot, right? That's what I'm looking for. So if I see what's closed that has pushed the appraisal price, I have a good feeling that we could probably at least appraise for that. So if we wanted to ask higher, we'd have to be very clear to our sellers that it probably will not appraise, right? Everybody with me?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
we want to make sure that they see we are considering it in our comp. And it was like really making me blind, right? So let's take a look and see what our report is telling us, right? So let's go ahead and we're going to look at our report. And we're going to say, let's take a peek at it. Hello, where's my report? There we go. We're going to download it. Maybe we'll download it today, maybe not. Okay, so here's our report. Comes with a nice little pretty page. Make sure your information is up to date on it. And this is what I like right here, right? It gives us a comp analysis. It gives us a range. And by the way, it refined our value. Do you know why? Because the AVM was refined because it had the wrong number of bedrooms. When we added another bedroom, it changed the value that they currently estimated at, and that's pretty high. So that's where they're coming with the 541, but our comp analysis is saying it's coming at 502. Okay, then it
So
shows,
where's the current value estimate? What is that? Where did that number come from then?
this
so
is
you
the
got-
original AVM that RPR had. And they used homes that weren't necessarily good comps, right? They also
So
said,
they say, okay,
but they also said it was one less bedroom. Remember? So when we updated the information and changed the bedrooms and maybe bathrooms, that also changed the refined value. Got it? But our
and where does the refined value, like, where does that come from again? Just so
means
I,
we're
'cause I see this and
we're
as
refining.
a
the
seller, I see
data.
this, all these numbers on here and it's like, oh, there's a huge stretch. So
Well, remember,
to be
when
able to
you're in the
explain this.
report, you could actually, if you don't want to see that, that's why I tell you, look at this stuff first.
Mhm.
But you could estimated value change, so you could take that out.
Okay,
So
Okay.
you can, you know, I would say you could even take out the comp analysis result and just give you the range and say, this is the range we're in. That's up to you, but
Mhm.
you can adjust those things. And that's why you want to look at these reports before. I like to see this because I want to see how much extra they're giving you for the bathroom, the bedrooms and bathrooms that they didn't account for. Doesn't mean it's right? Because their comps were wrong. That's why we look to see what their comps were they were using. Remember, that's the first thing we did. Now here, this is what I love about this. It puts them out just like an appraisal, puts everything side by side.
Mhm.
Why is this one 0.39 acres? See, this one's actually not a good comp at 128.
That's why I said, look, Rosewood development right by them. And I understand why that came up, but that is like the acreage is not there at all.
So this one might not have even come in, right? So if this home did not come in, I would go back to my CMA and I'm going to edit my CMA. I'm going to edit my comps. So let's go back over here. Go back to CMA. Say edit comps. And I can add that one comp that we want to use because it's bigger square foot, bigger lot size, but really needs a lot of work, right? So if I hit
Mhm.
edit comps, I'm still waiting. Hello. So slow. All right. So I'm going to go to adjust my comps. Oh, sorry, back. This one you can now take for, you can say, okay, because there's less land, it's worse, right? You could say this is, so you can adjust right here, by the way, if you wanted to do that. That's not actually what I wanted to do. It just, I have the wrong thing. I want to edit my comps. So what I want to do is add a property that's not there. So I'm going to search for a known property and I'm going to paste in my MLS and I'm going to add that property now to our RVM. See, I just added that property. So that's the other reason I'm going to do it in MLS and I'm going to do it in RPR because I'm going to look at things a little bit differently, right? And the one that I might take out is this one, right? Because this is the one that was 3.39, wasn't it?
Small acreage, but it's a big size house in like
Okay.
the next development over.
We
I
can
don't know.
keep it in
It
there.
makes, it brings it way down.
We could keep it in there if we want to. We could just do a new report and we'll run it again. So let's say run report again. But while we're looking and running our report again,
I think I kept it in there for mine because I thought it was more of a desirable location because it's closer to downtown. It's right by it, but it's more of a desirable because it's closer.
so what I love, usually this goes onto one page. I don't know why it didn't, but you'll have the facts for each home. This is weird. It printed them on, all of them on 2 pages. Oh, they usually go on 1 page like that, which I much prefer, but you know, if they won't for whatever reason, maybe it's too much information. So this way you're only showing them a limited amount of things. You're showing them 1 page that shows them side by side. Then you're putting the homes out in front of them side by side. And then you could talk about, this one has 1 acre more than yours, but it needs a lot of work. So this appraised at 123 price per square foot. I feel pretty comfortable. We probably could use this as a comp and give it to the appraiser and hope to get you to appraise at that price. You follow me?
Mhm,
But
mhm.
we have to let them know an appraisal is an art, not a science. But this is where we have to be really, really creative in today's market. Now, this is the recommended pricing strategy. And it tells us the for sale listings, the closed listings. So it gives us the whole area if they wanted to look at that. It gives us the lowest price, the highest price, but this is in that zip code, right? But this is what I like. The original estimated value, the change based on home facts. This is letting them know we have accounted for the differential. However, this is what that would come up for. I don't think that will appraise more than likely.
No, there's no way. Mm-mm.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
But someone showed her that number and it made my numbers look really low.
Well, I think the truth is you probably could be at the 470 and probably even appraise. So could you push it and ask for 480, 490? You could,
Mhm.
but she
The
has,
other thing,
she probably want
the
to.
other thing, Carrie, is she doesn't want to do anything till this fall. She wants to have the summer with her daughter there before she moves. And I said, let's relook at it totally at that time. This is just a rough estimate in the current market, but everything could be different by this fall. So,
Right.
I mean,
And that's the important thing. You got to understand that these numbers are going to change by the fall. These numbers are going to
Yeah.
change in a month. You know, it's
Mhm.
crazy.
Hey,
Question?
Carrie, I
Yeah.
have a question. This is Sharon.
Sure.
So I'm following along and I did one at 1002 Periwinkle Court. It's a listing that we have coming up in Celebration.
Okay.
And I changed the rooms because they're converting a living space into a bedroom. And it took the value down by $286.
When you added a room,
Yeah.
I would want to look at that because that doesn't sound right at all. I have never seen it subtract value for adding a bedroom.
It says refined changes negative $286.
You sure that's the only thing you changed?
Uh-huh.
It's really weird. So let's for fun, go to Cloud CMA and create a CMA for your periwinkle. Any questions first before we move on how this seller report looks and how we came up and compared it? And by the way, I would always, when I'm going on a listing, go back to that. Oh, where am I here?
Want to show them that because it's saying 550.
No, I would suppress that. I want to look at that for myself. I want to see what they're accounting for the differential. Remember, that's why I say never send it to them without looking at it. And I showed you how you could suppress that value. I want to see what they're saying it is. I'm realistically thinking 470, right? Could you push it?
Mhm.
You could in this market, but you're not going to probably appraise. Probably 470 is the highest you can hope to appraise for. I mean, would you guys agree with that?
Mhm. Yes, yeah.
So one thing I want everybody to remember that this little thing, oops, criteria, no results. So when you're here and you go to agent line display and you have all homes selected and you do
You're not
stats
sharing
tab-
anymore.
Oh, I'm not? That's weird. Oh, thank you for saying that. Okay. Do you guys remember how I did this? How I went to stats tabular? Always, no, let me show you how to do it.
Where did you get that at? Sorry.
And let me show you. Let me say back. So when I have all my listings up, right, that I'm considering, I hit
Okay.
little stats. Now, let's say I didn't want to consider one of these. I want all but this one. I could do that too, right? So you don't have
Okay.
to rerun your search or whatever.
And stats gives you, okay.
That's tabular. Don't do the charts. That one's stupid. I don't like that one. But the tabular one, nobody can understand it. It's like too complicated. This thing is fabulous. And this is something that, you know, I would definitely, I would not show this active because it's stupid. 236, unless this home is a brand new home and it has like some things that we've never seen before. It's got some barns on there, maybe an arena. I
Mhm.
don't know. I wouldn't be showing that. But I would definitely show solds. And I would show this because they need to see within this property type, show the criteria. This is the highest price sold, the average price per square foot sold. I could care
would
less about the median.
Can you cut and paste that and put it in your email to them, or?
Oh, you can take a picture of this and add it to the RPR report as a user page. Remember how you can add your own pages here in a report? On the right-hand side, just say manage custom pages. So you could include that as a stellar MLS average of stats or something, you know, call it whatever you want, and include that page and add it into your report and put it wherever you want it.
Mhm.
So that way, in case you're gonna print this, I mean, you're gonna send it to them, it's included, right? Everybody clear on that?
Yeah, I think they already have a similar page. It's just, we're just not displaying it.
No, their page is very complicated. You're talking about, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I know it. I hear you.
So can you show how you cut and put that in there? So that's from the MLS that you're putting in this report. Where did you dump that again?
So I would
Sorry,
take,
it's hard to, I don't know about anyone else, but for me, like on a Zoom, it's like I see your cursor move around and click and move. But by the time I process where you've got that at, like I'm delayed a little bit.
no worries. I would take a screenshot. Right?
Mhm.
And then I would go into RPR and I hit manage custom pages. And I would say add another custom page. Or not. And then I'll pull the screenshot, which I think is this one. Oh, it has to be a PDF. So I'd have to save it as a
Oh.
PDF. Which you guys all know how to do that, right? So. Desktop. This the one? Nope, this one. Open with.
I'm with a
Preview.
Mac, or I'm with a, not a Mac.
If you're not a Mac, I can't help you very much, but file,
Right.
export as PDF. What? Yeah, print screen, but you can't really picture what you want. There's tools though. You could use a snippet tool. Okay, I'd call this MLS synopsis, right? And I'm gonna put it under my desktop. I'm gonna say save. And then there you go. So now it's a PDF. So I go back over here to my custom pages, add another page. Add another page. Come on. Okay, here we go. Desktop MLS synopsis. There you go. Oh, all right. Let me get rid of 10 reasons why. Delete and delete this one. You can only have a certain number of pages, guys. And now I'll have my MLS synopsis and save. So when I'm doing my report, I want this one. And you can click on it and look at it and make sure it's exactly what you want. Oh, and it's turned, so I would have saved it the other way. But at any rate, at least it's in there. Follow me? Everybody good? And then that's
I have a question, okay, particularly about this property, and maybe this is someone else's scenario, but since she hasn't chosen who she wants to go with, and in fact, is it really gonna do anything till the fall? Would you say because that property that closed like a couple weeks ago, right next door to her, she may not be aware of that because that was in there as data entry?
You could
that
add
just
that
got put
in. What was the price per square foot that sold at?
I don't know. It was
Because you
I
want
know,
to.
I just now saw that. I never saw that before.
You want to make sure you're using data that's going to support what you're trying to say, right?
Yeah,
So if it's hold higher, fabulous, but I think it was 115. And a lot of times it could be because it's a quick claim deed. It could be because somebody gave it to someone they know. It could be because somebody
Yeah.
is a realtor and they got
but it's
hosed.
the price. I think it's the price because the lots are about the same right there. I think it's the price to show
Remember,
that it was 455.
but price isn't everything. It's really based on that price per square foot. That's what we really want to focus on. So if you're showing 115 price per square foot and we're talking about 123, there's a big differential. Now you can show her the range.
And to
Listen,
be honest, this isn't my typical listing. I typically, do small farms, which that totally different on all this, I kind of feel like, but for that particular one, I was off just a little bit and maybe more cautious because I just got my hand slapped for being too high on another property. So I don't know, like it's not real
Again,
residential.
like on an Elsie property, right? Here's your recommendation. You say to the seller, what I highly recommend that you do is get an appraisal because we can use
Yes.
that appraisal to support your value in the MLS. In truth, and especially in Elsie's case, because I know the deal, it's really to get their expectations more in
Right.
a realistic mindset because their thought of what their house is worth is so out of whack.
Right.
The reason we can't find comps is because there is none, because what they want for a
Right.
home is unrealistic.
I suggest that with farms
True.
often. Let's
Right.
just know what the banks will loan.
But Sharon, give me your address because we're gonna now do that in Cloud CMA real quick.
1002.
Uh-huh.
What did I say? Sorry. 1002.
I lost you.
Hey, Carrie.
Uh-huh.
After you're done with that, I had another
Oh,
question.
sorry.
Can you also explain to us like how like these properties that are going 50,000 over list, how that's going to affect the CMA?
Well, just quickly before we go into Sharon, it's a great question. Did it close? If it closed, it's gonna help us with the CMA because it's gonna bring up the appraisals. If it doesn't close, obviously it won't. So we're seeing things that are going 50 above, but I'm not seeing many of these things closing yet. Have you guys? I'm seeing a lot of things coming through where the appraisal comes in way different and people aren't willing to pay. Even though they said they would, even though they waived appraisal contingencies. So this craziness is happening, but I'm seeing people, when it comes through, they go, oh, I didn't mean that. Just an example, today, Teresa, yesterday, I was talking to 2 customers for her. They are putting in an offer about 465. They think the home will probably really appraise for 425. They said they'll be willing to pay $10,000 over appraisal. So I recommended to Teresa, she do an appraisal contingency for 455, right? Because if we said we're willing to pay 465, then if they're willing to come to the table with 10,000, that means it can appraise for as low as 455. But if it's anything below 455, they get their money back. These people got all freaked out. They thought what they're saying by we'll pay 10,000 over is that if it appraises for 425, that the purchase price is going to be changed to 435. That is not obviously what that really means, but this is the problem. I think that realtors aren't taking
Oh, the comprehension. Okay.
to
Wow.
explain what paying over appraisal means. This was like a huge aha for me, because if you don't explain that, I mean, at first they were saying it, I'm like, what the heck are they talking about? But then when it hit me, I'm like, oh, I can see if you don't understand how contracts work, right? They're thinking that the seller's going to adjust the price to the appraisal price, silly them. And they're saying magnanimously, don't worry, we'll pay 10 grand above whatever that appraisal is, right? That's not what's happening, guys. That's not what that means. But if people aren't taking the time to explain it, if they're not including appraisal contingency and explaining how that works, right? They're just writing verbiage. Seller will pay 10,000 above appraisal price. How many times have we seen stuff like that?
Mhm.
And then those deals are falling apart because of this comprehension. Maybe it's not that they weren't willing to do that. They just didn't understand when they were telling you they would do that, what that actually meant to their bottom line.
And when I was talking to Teresa,
Carrie, would they get their deposit back in that case?
So if I did, that's why I explained to them, this is why you want an appraisal contingency. They're putting 20% down. They're highly qualified. They have cash because they sold their home. This, but by the way, these aren't first-time home buyers. They sold their home. So this kind of comprehension could be happening all over the place, right? Number one. Number two, I'm going to tell you, I have explained the same thing about appraisal contingencies to realtors, my realtors who go to my training over and over again, and people still find it confusing. So if we find it confusing, imagine what the consumer, the customer is completely lost, right? So it's totally understandable how this is happening. But in that case, Jen, that's why I said, make sure you are doing an appraisal contingency, even if you did it for 465. It doesn't matter. The point is, if it were to appraise at 424, or let's say that's a little low, let's say it came in at 450 and they didn't do an appraisal contingency, but the lender knows about all their money that they have, right? Because they have all this cash from selling their home, and they're putting 20% down. The lender may not give them a denial. The lender may say, well, you are more than qualified. You have more than enough funds to put extra money down. So I'm sorry, we cannot issue you a denial. In which case that financing contingency is now no longer going to help your customer. How scary is that, right? Which is why I said, because you're such qualified buyers, you need that appraisal contingency to protect you. Doesn't mean you won't have a conversation if the home doesn't appraise. Doesn't mean you can't even come to that situation if it appraised for 425 that you'll pay 435. But it means that if the seller says, no way, Jose, you can get out and get your money back. And you don't have to try to rely on a financing contingency where they may or may not give you a declination of mortgage. That's the biggest thing. Because Maria, right, you can't just decline people. You have to give a real reason, and then you can be held accountable. And it has to be legit. So that's why I'm telling you, and I talked to, I don't even remember who, about this. Talk to the lender. Oh, Dexter.
That was me.
And use
It was me.
It's a lot of people. I'm going to tell you, we have to talk to the lender of the buyer, whether we're on the buy side or the sell side. We have to ask them, at what point will you give them a denial, right? If an appraisal came in low, how low would it have to be for you to deny them? I'm telling you, if you're a listing agent, you better have that conversation beforehand if someone says they're waiving appraisal contingencies, because you can waive it, but still get a denial, right? Based on financing. So if you're the listing agent, you need to find that out. If you're the buyer's agent, you need to protect your buyers. At what point will you still issue them a denial? For example, quick little scenario, Dexter people are in an as-is contract. The appraiser would not give a number. I've never seen that before. They would not give you an appraisal number, right, Maria? What the heck was that? Unless they changed the roof. I have or found somebody who said there was 2 years roof life. I've never heard of that. That's a new one on me. Every day something new. And so the buyers and sellers came to an agreement. The buyers were going to fix the roof. The sellers were going to pay to fix the roof. But then the buyers wanted to fix some electrical too. And the seller said, no, we don't want to do that. We're done. Well, here's the point. Does the buyer now want to sue for specific performance? Can they do that? Anybody?
I have no idea.
I would say
They
no.
can. They totally can. A buyer can always sue for specific performance. But what are you suing for? The original contract, which is that you're buying the home as is. It doesn't come with the roof. It doesn't come. So why would you do that? Right? So this is the thing. People are not understanding. There's so many intricacies happening. A lot of it due to appraisals, guys. That is affecting so many different terms of this contract. That you as the agent have to understand and be able to explain it to them in a very simplistic way, because I can tell you there's a lot of miscommunication and misunderstanding where I might be saying one thing and you might be thinking something different, right? That is exactly what happened with Teresa's customers. So this is really important when we're doing these appraisals for our listings, that we talk about the appraisal, that we show the true things that things have closed at. It really has no bearing if something is active. It doesn't matter. Even if it's pending, even if we know the price it pended for, because until it closes, it doesn't count. You follow me?
So should I, in my instance, it did not appraise, we're 30,000 off. My buyers were like, we don't want to buy a house that didn't appraise. The sellers are like, we'll find somebody that will. And we ended up coming to terms on it. It closes tomorrow, allegedly. But no, it will. No, it will. But should I have put, this is where, again, I'm just being really humble so I understand going forward. Should I have put in there a appraisal contingency in our offer?
Yes.
I
I'm going to
didn't.
tell you, you always
It
Always
never even
forward.
crossed my mind, to be honest, because everything was just, there was no inventory. It never even crossed my mind that there'd be an issue with this one. And
Because
So-
if they were still qualified, they wouldn't have gotten a denial for the mortgage. And then
Okay.
they would not have had any other contingencies to protect their deposit. So they can always back out, but their deposit is hard. They will lose the money. That's the thing.
they will lose the money because why? Because,
If they are still qualified to buy that home because they have an extra 30 grand, it didn't change the mortgage type, they were putting 50 grand down, right?
oh, okay, if they didn't get the denial, you're
Right,
saying.
right.
Okay.
It doesn't
okay.
mean because it didn't appraise, they're gonna get a denial. That is the key. So if you have a FHA or VA, well, God help you, good luck trying to get in the home right now. I feel so bad for those people. But
Yeah.
that has an appraisal contingency in the addendum, the FHA VA addendum. Use the right one, don't use the crisp, use the right, correct 4-bar one. But if it's conventional, still use an appraisal contingency. You have to protect your customer. They're all
Mhm.
crazy right now. It's a feeding frenzy. And they get in there. And that's why you need to be able to do these things on the fly, like we just did for RPR, for your buyer, to say it looks as if the highest this thing will appraise for could be
Mhm.
this price. Are you willing to pay that price? Are you
So
willing to
Carrie-
pay more? Mhm.
So Carrie, with regards to that, hi. So with regards to that, this market is super competitive. What I hear you saying is that no matter if it's competitive or not, you would always put an appraisal contingency even in this market.
I would, but the clever way to do it is if you said to your buyers, just like that example, they're willing to pay 465, but they say they're willing to pay 10,000 over. Again, make sure they understand what that means. So you would do an appraisal contingency, not for the list price, not for 465, for 455. And you'd put under additional terms, which by the way means absolutely nothing. Buyer will agree to pay $10,000 extra towards appraisal price if it comes below list price, not to exceed 465, right? You can
Oh.
add that. What does it really mean? Nothing. Because what does it say if they don't do it? Nothing. Well, is there a time frame tied to it? No, right? There's just not enough information, but what it does do is it makes the seller and the listing agent feel comfortable that they're gonna put
Mhm.
more money down. And what it really does, it shows that by putting the appraisal contingency at 455, it shows that they will accept the home at 455, right? So that's good. But what it doesn't do is lock them in if it appraises less than 455. Right? But make sure they understand that they would pay 465, they would come out of pocket 10 grand to close. If they don't understand that and they're like, whoa, wait a minute, that's not what I understood. You have an addendum, it's in writing, they're gonna be held to that. And if their lender says, I'm sorry, they have plenty of money, I cannot give them a denial, they're gonna lose their deposit if they don't close. And that's where it gets ugly.
So we have, their appraisal contingency today.
Uh-huh.
And then it appraised for like $40,000 less.
This is FHA.
And it's
Oh, okay. So a question, Brianne says they have an FHA, which I don't even know how she got them in contract. With the appraisal contingency ending today.
And we sent an addendum to contract to fix the purchase price and the sellers were gonna fix the issues.
Uh-huh.
If the buyer paid $800 cash.
Uh-huh.
We sent that last Friday.
So,
And because that's what the listing agent said. Yeah. And we kept ignoring us and kept ignoring us and kept it back. Yesterday, he said the sellers don't wanna do it anymore after they fixed all the issues.
okay, so here's the situation, guys, because you probably didn't hear that. She has an FHA buyer. They have an FHA addendum, clearly. The appraisal came in 40,000 below. They sent an addendum to the listing agent for the sellers to say that they're gonna lower the price to the purchase price and they would pay $800 for some repairs. And they couldn't get it back. This listing agent kept saying, yes, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, coming. Finally, today they said the seller doesn't wanna do it.
Because he got another offer.
Probably.
Right.
But the reality is your FHA buyer is completely secure. You sent it in long before the deadline. So there's no way the FHA buyer will lose the deposit. Mhm. Yeah. One other thing too, guys, keep this in mind. With builders, It has always been, well, always, the last probably 5 to 7 years, they added a phrase in their contracts that said if the home does not appraise, the buyer will need to come to the table with cash or they will lose their deposit. Know that. And the reason I'm bringing that up is very critically important because now builders are adding another addenda, so much fun, that says the purchase price can go up 25%.
Because of material costs.
Because of material costs and, whatever else I want to say. So, but what's happening is the buyer will have a week, I believe, depends on the contract. It's usually a week to decide if they want to move forward. If they choose not to, they'll get their money back. But the reason I'm bringing this up is remember, there's no appraisal contingency. So if the price raises 25%, the chances of that home appraising are probably slim to none. Just because material costs are going up doesn't mean an appraiser is going to actually give you value for that, right?
They don't.
Exactly.
They're not right now.
And so what will happen is that could be that 25% differential, let's call it 25,000 just for fun. That could be 25,000 cash that your new construction people will have to bring to the table. And if they don't think about that at the time they accept the price, their financing contingency will not help them because the builder contracts are completely skewed for the builder and they have added verbiage to state that your financing is not contingent on that appraisal. So we have seen a builder actually try to keep a deposit on a VA. A VA. Are you freaking kidding me? I mean, yeah, it was crazy. I fought against the sales manager. We got the money back. But the point is, it's desperation out there, guys. So you have to be so clear about this appraisal issue. This issue is not going away. And this issue is going to be affecting us in a lot of different ways. So I suggest when you are working with a new home construction customer and they get that price about what the new price is, you better do a CMA right then. You better pull a CMA and get an idea of the highest price it could possibly appraise for. And let them know they will be responsible to bring cash to the table for the difference. Because that is part of the understanding they have to have before they agree to move forward. Everybody clear on that? Because that's a really important new issue that we have not seen. I have never seen. And I've lived through lotteries. I've lived through a lot of stuff. Never have seen this. So this is a very important thing. The other thing that I've seen builders doing recently is a highest and best. Has anybody seen that?
I was just about to say that. Lennar's doing that.
Oh, Lennar, D.R. Horton, highest and best. This is absolutely ridiculous. So in that case as well, when you have a customer and they're so excited and they want to get this and they come in with their highest and best, you better make sure they understand there is absolutely no appraisal contingency. There never will be in a builder contract again, I'm sure. They took them out. Yeah, and where you have a problem is if they're building in phases, right? Because let's say you get in and you're like phase 2 or phase 3, they may keep raising that price. But like with townhome communities, they never could catch up. That's why appraisal started becoming a big issue because they would raise in between every phase, right? The cost, but the homes weren't appraising to match the increase in the phase cost. So if that was happening when the market was steadier, imagine what is going to be happening now when these people who are getting an increase in the cost, there's no way appraisals are catching that. They're not catching up to that. I can guarantee you that.
How would it, all just have to be cash deals at that point? How the heck are?
I see a lot of lawsuits in our future. That's what I see. I hate to talk about it, but I see that.
What
Yeah.
about the people that have already contracted?
If
still raise
you-
the price on them?
No, if you are in a contract that it did not include any type of escalation clause, they're not held liable to that because it was not part of their contract. We had Sharon, I think it was you, right? The builder was trying to add it after the fact, right, Sharon?
Correct.
But
That's correct.
But they didn't, correct?
No, we did not. They did not sign it. Yeah.
And they did not because you were on top of it. But what happens, let's be honest, guys, you get a new home construction customer, you take them to the builder, they sign the contracts. And many times does that new home on site not contact you, but go direct to the customer? And that's what happened in your case too, Sharon, right? She sent the
That's
addendum to the
exactly.
customer.
Yep, they go, oh, we forgot this one little addendum. Please sign right here.
Uh-huh.
Did
Thank
not include me.
your customer was really smart and said, Sharon, does this look right? Thankfully. But guys, This is why if you are representing someone in new homes, you have to be more vigilant than ever because you may not be complete, included in all of the correspondence. So you need to say to your customer, if they send you anything at all to add, anything at all to sign, do not sign anything unless I review it. Because Lord knows what else to add.
It's scary.
Would I recommend going new construction? Honestly, it's a scary world out there, but there's no inventory. So it depends on how desperate your buyers are. And it depends on their financial situation. Can they afford to buy? That's the reality right now. And do I see it changing anytime soon? Not really, because where's the inventory coming from? So something. Which is why, guys, I am available all the time. Which is why I was speaking to buyers on Sunday. I don't care. We need to make sure people understand we're here to protect them the very best we can. We need to make sure they understand clearly what they're agreeing to, because I guarantee you, agents who are not doing that, and buyers are losing deposits, or buyers are closing on homes without inspections, and then they find out they have a roof problem or polybutylene piping or God knows what. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to sue their realtor. I guarantee you of that, because that's the person who was supposed to, they got paid, right? The realtor got paid to represent them. So when they're
So how do you protect yourself, Carrie, against that? Like I had one that didn't. He waived all of that. What, other than having it in writing, what else can you do?
You have to have an addenda, and I have it in our forms, and it's a hold harmless form. It's called a buyer inspection form, and you need to make them sign that, which says that they understand and they should have an inspection. These are the reasons they should have an inspection, and then they choose whether they elect to have it or not, and then they sign, you're holding us harmless. That is the only way to do that, and you need to explain to them, this is what this is saying. So if something comes, which is why I'm telling you, you shouldn't do this, and you find out after closing that there's some horrible problem with your home, you have no recourse.
Carrie,
Mhm.
since that form allows the buyer to choose if they want or don't want the inspection, should that just be with every offer? Should you just have them sign it regardless?
No, because we want
is that a little
everybody to
much?
have an inspection. I would only
Yeah.
pull that out if they said, oh no, I want to waive my inspection. You pull that out and say, really?
Okay.
Really? You want to close and find out there's something really wrong with your home and then have nobody to go after? Because I don't
He
recommend.
had a partial one done, a mold one, but not a structure.
So I'm just saying, guys, this is where, listen, we're very, very conscious of these things. I'm going to keep screaming them from the high mountaintops. Don't do it, because we need to be protecting our buyers right now who are desperately trying to get homes. They are in a mindset of desperation. It is scarcity out there. We can't say you can't have a mindset of abundance right now because there's no homes. So this is the problem. When people are vulnerable, it's when and because they're so stressed. Let me tell you, I talked to the wife. She couldn't even understand anything. She's like, I'm sorry, I can't grasp this right now. I'm too stressed. Can you talk to my husband? I mean, people are so freaked out right now. Even if you're talking to them and making it sound, honestly, I felt like I was talking to a 2-year-old. I made it as simple as I possibly could. She's so stressed, right? I get it. So
Yeah.
we need to make sure
Anxiety.
whatever we need to do that we break, and don't talk to them in legalese, whatever you do, just try to make it simple. Like the old acronym KISS, keep it simple, stupid. You got to do that. You got to make sure that they can understand this. Now, I'm sorry we're over. I wanted to do Cloud CMA. So do you guys want to continue next week doing a Cloud CMA? Okay. So I think that I got people in the room saying yes. I hope you guys.
Yes.
So we're going to do the Cloud CMA. I hope you got some new things here, but what I really want you to see is how easy it is to do the RPR and how important it's going to be to do it for your buyers, for your sellers, and for buyers of new construction, right? Because that is a huge issue. They need to understand they will be required to come to the table with cash for any difference over the appraised value. And if they don't have cash available, they don't get out of financing. It distinctly says in the contracts, if they do not have the cash available, they will lose their deposit if they do not close. Horrible. Anybody else? So I hope you guys all learned something here. I don't know how to stop my share. It doesn't. Oh, there's.
Thank you. Yes, Carrie.
Thank you, guys. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank
couple
you,
things,
Carrie.
couple things. We are starting this week our private placement. So if you have a listing,
Mm.
you need to let us know. There's one form to fill out that says like 5 things: price, bedrooms, bathrooms, that kind of stuff, very, very basic. And then we will put it into the system so that in my hub, under listings, the first thing says private placement. You will see all the new upcoming listings. So that will help hopefully with our buyers to give them some inventory. That's what we're trying. So please, if you have a listing, be aware of that. If you don't know where it is, you don't know how to do it, reach out to me, Cindy, Caroline, Jennifer, any of us. We will make sure it gets in there, but we just want to start giving you this information so you have more opportunity to find homes for your buyers and sell our, our listings as well. I mean, not that we need any help with that because those things are selling pretty fast. Okay, and we also have this week Ninja Download. So I'm going to be hosting that here at 9:30 on Wednesday. So please come join me, because anybody who's here live after the class, we're going to do only live though, because it doesn't work well in Zoom. We're going to do some ninja exercises, and we're going to do a really fun one this week called Round Robin, which is why it's really hard to do that. It's 9:30 to 10:30, and we'll be doing from the half hour after our round robin. So everybody good with that? Sorry, Stacy. It doesn't really
Yeah.
work round robin. She's like, I'm in Ocala. That's really, really far. But
Like
you can,
9, I'm like, I know I said I'd come to the office, but
yeah. That'd be
yeah,
early.
I need this ninja stuff. I need like, I need to get up
Yes.
to par with that. I don't.
Yes, we'll talk offline about that too. Definitely read the book Ninja Selling, but sign up for the installation. It's gonna be amazing. It's in September. The Ninja Download will be snippets of it to get you kind of excited and interested. And that way, when you're there for the installation, which is 4 full days, you'll be very familiar with a lot of the information because it's overwhelming. True. All right, guys.
I'm already overwhelmed.
Oh, come on. The fun has just begun. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day.
Thank
Bye. Thanks,
you.
Carrie.
You too, bye.
Bye.
Carrie.